Can a beer really be as refined as a Michelin-starred meal? Today we're with Jared Rouben of Moody Tongue to explore the culinary revolution that's redefining the craft. Let's dive in. All right, hello Jared. Welcome to Midwest Microbrew. Glad to have you on.
Glad to be on. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. So before we get into the story of Moody Tongue, I'd love to learn a little bit more about you. From what I know, you have a pretty storied past within the world of brewing and culinary. Could you tell me a little bit more about how you got into all this?
Yeah, before I got into brewing, I was a classically trained chef. I started my culinary career in the Culinary Institute of America in New York. It was really there when I started a beer club. I started a beer club the second week of school. I did that because the wine club had a minimum GPA and their events were $25. So for me, this wasn't Harvard. All GPAs should be welcome, especially for tasting beer.
Yep.
And each event was $1. We had to charge something because it was alcohol.
Mhm.
And I started bringing in all these breweries from the Northeast, Sam Adams, Dogfish Head, Brooklyn, and started pairing them with different foods and then using these beers as ingredients within dishes, whether we were, braising meats or using it to make sorbets or ice creams or even breads. And I always loved beer, but by starting this club and learning how to cook, I really fell in love with the flavors and aromatics that came with beers from all over the world. And I like the approachability, the fact that if everyone threw in $5, this is like the early 2000s, but if everyone threw in $5, like you could taste the best beer from all over the world without stamping your passport. I think there's something really special about that. And so from there, continued my culinary path, but was just curious about beer along the way. And eventually I found myself out cooking at a Michelin star restaurant out in Napa called the Martini House. And on my days off, I would be homebrewing and I would start to use the same ingredients that were being used in this Michelin star kitchen with a very similar approach to bring out the best of the ingredient. For example, the one that really comes to mind is an ingredient called pluot, which is a hybrid between a plum and an apricot. And those are flavor and aromatics that I couldn't get by using hops. And so all of a sudden, I had a workaround for a flavor and aromatic that I couldn't get with the ingredients that were available to me. And I started approaching it through the lens of a chef in order to bring those flavors and aromatics to life in the beer. And that was kind of the beginning of our style of brewing, which is called culinary brewing, which is just taking really the looking at beer through the lens of a chef. We do that by sourcing the best ingredient, handling it with care, and then knowing where and why and how to weave it back into liquid.
Wow. Well, yeah, no, that sounds like a very natural transition from chef to brewing. That gives you a unique kind of insight into it. That's pretty cool to hear.
Thank you.
So tell me the story about Moody Tongue Brewing. What inspired you to start brewing here specifically?
Um, well, I always wanted to build my own brewery. I always wanted to have a really strong culinary approach, and I always wanted to bring beer and food close together. And so the first half of my career was spent in kitchens, just learning how to make great food and source great ingredients. And the second half, I moved from New York to Chicago to go to brewing school at Siebel, the oldest brewing school in the country. They have a dual degree program in Chicago and Germany. And when I had the opportunity to come back from Germany, I got hired by Goose Island, was the brewmaster of the brew pubs for about 3.5 years. And that gave me a strong understanding of brewing from a truly excellent company.
Yeah.
And in 2014, I opened up Moody Tongue. And the vision was, let's focus on making really well balanced beers, um, sourcing great ingredients from wonderful farmers, and and really just focus on that craft. And then eventually in 2018, we started working on the restaurant, moved into a bigger space, and incorporated food, which referring to the restaurant we have in Chicago, South Loop, Bronzeville, which is the bar at Moody Tongue and then the dining room at Moody Tongue. And that's where we've really been able to kind of bring beer and food under the same roof. I have to say that, it's a wonderful luxury when you're creating two different things and your brewers and your chefs are able to speak to each other so that your guest is able to have really the highest quality beer, the highest quality food, and two creators that are communicating so that the pairing works really well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that sounds like a great idea, and I'm glad it's working out pretty well for you guys.
We enjoy it.
Yeah. How would you, and some people find this difficult to do because there's so much to say, but how would you describe your brewery in one sentence to someone who's never been there, if you had to pare it down?
Sure. Yeah. We're a culinary brewery that really looks at beer through the lens of a chef. And we're an establishment where the food means just as much to us as the beer. And
Hmm.
that's why, we're able to bring them together through the art of pairing.
Nice. So, having been around for a while now, you said you were established in 2014, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got a great plan here. I'm sure that a lot of people come back multiple times. Do you have a lot of regulars? And what would draw them there consistently, you think?
We do, we are fortunate to have a lot of regulars in the Chicago, culinary and beer community is fantastic.
Hmm.
Um, I think we change our menu. And so I think when your menu evolves, people are interested in not only eating seasonally, but seeing what you've done and what's new. And that can be said for our beer list as well. So we're always brewing with the season, cooking with the season, and using the ingredients that are celebrated within that season. I think that's a large draw. I think we also are very consistent in what we do, which is something I'm also very proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a second where you mentioned season, but do you have any regular events that that you participate in with the community?
I think for us, we're big in supporting farms. And so we're big in highlighting ingredients from farmers. We do a farmers market series where throughout the season, we're showcasing one ingredient from one farm and one keg of beer. And I think for us, that's a great way to kind of stay connected with really our partners to grow something that's truly special, that's local.
Hmm, nice. All right. And then for someone visiting from out of town, what kind of stuff that should they know about like parking or reservations, that kind of stuff?
Reservations can be taken care of online. We do have walk-in as well.
Okay.
Um, Parking, you kind of have to find your parking around here. And just know that we really pride ourselves in hospitality. So when you walk in, we're ready to take care of you.
Yeah, that's good to hear. What's your policy on large groups or private events? Do you guys do stuff like that?
We do. We love them. You just have to reach out in advance, and we're happy to take care of you.
Perfect. All right, so getting into the beer and brewing questions.
Sure.
So walk me through your core lineup. What styles do you always have available, and what makes them so popular?
Yeah. So I think just like a great menu for food, uh, a great menu for beer that's balanced is important too. So our perennials, we have a toasted rice lager, really light, really refreshing. We have an aperitif pilsner, which is a German style pilsner. I was trained over in Germany, so I take great pride in German beer, and it's a personal love of mine. We have an orange blossom Belgian blonde. I think it's one of the most food friendly styles in our portfolio. We have two different IPAs. We have a cold kiwi IPA, a little lighter on the ABV, and then we have a juice lychee IPA, which has really been one of our stalwarts from the beginning. A lot of tropical fruit on the nose and the palate.
Mhm.
We have our caramelized chocolate churro Baltic porter. Um, Nice Oaxacan cacao, Tahitian vanilla, um, dark in color but light in body.
Hmm, nice. What's your most popular out of all those beers?
I think it kind of goes back and forth between our aperitif pilsner and our juice lychee IPA.
Gotcha. Okay. And then one more on that front. What's the most unique beer that you've created?
A shaved black truffle lager, where we use truffles, black truffles, one of the first beers we ever created.
Really?
And we put it in our rice lager, and it's a wonderful way to showcase really a luxurious ingredient um, through beer, which
Yeah.
historically this is something that's either like shaved on pasta, but now you instead of incorporating into a solid, it's now incorporated into a liquid. It's wonderful.
Wow, that sounds delicious.
It's really
That sounds
nice.
really good. So getting back to the seasonal aspect, are there any seasonal or limited releases that people should be watching out for?
Well, right now we have our winter ale, something I think the brewers and myself look forward to every year. It's a great way to kind of brew something a little darker, a little higher ABV, but with some nice holiday spices. It's really good with we've got a really nice ribeye on the menu, which is phenomenal, and lamb. Both proteins
Wow.
very, very good with some of these spice forward holiday beer.
Yeah, that sounds like a great pairing. So for someone new to the world of craft beer, what would you recommend as an introduction?
I would say start with the rice lager. Something light, something refreshing, and then continue to taste. And when you find something you love, stick with the style.
Huh, good answer. All right. So getting behind the scenes, what's something about your brewery that most visitors should know but don't usually know before they get there?
Um, that our brewers love food as much as they love beer, and our chefs love beer as much as they love food. I think that's something I'm very proud of.
Yeah, good answer. So what would you say your brewing philosophy is?
Balance. I think
Balance.
for me I think the goal is for our guests to have more than one beer. And so when you're making balanced beer, it doesn't overwhelm your palate. You're able to have two, three. Um, I think there's something fantastic about like not having to continue to change your decision. If something's very good, you can continue with great conversation and keep enjoying the beer that is balanced.
Awesome. All right. And then how would you describe your brewery within the Chicago beer scene? What makes it special compared to all the I know that there's a lot of breweries around the area.
I think all of our Chicago breweries are special. I think if you're
Mhm.
brewing in Chicago, I think you really want to be here, and you've worked really hard just because it's too competitive a landscape just to be. And
Mhm.
what's really wonderful is that it makes all of us as brewers make a better product. I think what I am proud of from our brewery um, is that we make balanced beer that works really well with food.
Yeah,
Like we're always thinking about culinary, and I think we intentionally brew styles and flavor and aromatics, to work with food. That's something I personally enjoy.
absolutely. Yeah, it sounds really good. Are there any other local breweries in the area that you recommend if someone were to try like a big tour of your area?
Oh my gosh. I think Revolution and Half Acre and Off Color and Middlebrow and I could honestly Old Irving. I mean, I could keep going. We really have some outstanding breweries. And I
Yeah.
think that's just one of the best things about this community is that not only is the beer good, but the food is good.
Yeah.
So if you're traveling here, you're really set. I mean, the hard part is making a decision.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned Old Irving. They I just had him on earlier, the brewmaster from Old Irving. I had him on earlier this week. He actually started out in culinary as well. So it's pretty cool. It just makes sense that it's such a natural transition like that.
I love that.
What trends are you seeing in craft beer and how is your brewery responding?
I don't think we've ever been one to chase trends, to be quite honest with you. I think we're pretty good about staying in our lane. Um, I think what we're focused on right now is just light and refreshing and flavorful.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a that's a good way to do it. So what is coming up that people should be excited about? Like new beer events, any expansion plans, anything like that?
I don't know. I was just talking with the brewers. We're going to be doing a classic um, English ale. I think more specifically an ESB, and so we're working on the recipe right now. And I think when it gets a little chillier in Chicago, you're not ready to go to your porter or stouts. Those amber to mahogany English ales are pretty fantastic. So that's
Yeah,
what I'm looking forward to.
yeah, good stuff. And then let's see, just to get into some of the more closing questions here. If someone could only try three things at your brewery, what would you recommend? You know, whether it's food or a great pairing, just any three things.
Good question. I would do the shaved black truffle lager and our 12-layer German chocolate cake. I would do our cherry oud brune with our A5 Miyazaki beef. And I would do our orange blossom Belgian blonde with oysters.
Oh, those all sound like delicious combinations.
Thank you.
What's the best way for people to stay connected with what you're doing?
I think Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, on all of that.
Absolutely. Got to be nowadays, for sure. And then, do you have any final thoughts or messages for people who would be considering a visit?
Come visit us. We're ready to host you. Like we have a lot to share.
Absolutely. Great place to go visit. Well, thank you so much, Jared. I
My pleasure.
appreciate you taking the time. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for today. Be sure to check out some of our other exclusive interviews with the people from the best breweries in the Midwest. Bye now.